Fruit City Council meeting. My name is John Pullman, Mayor of the City of Fruit Heights. We are meeting with an anchor location at 910 South Mountain Road, Fruit Heights, Utah 4037. We're starting at 7:04. Sorry, being late. We're going to begin with a pledge of allegiance. It's going to be led by George, followed by a thought or a prayer by Flo. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for a chance to gather here and talk about the needs of our city and its citizens. We're thankful for this free country, for the extra water thou didst give us this year. We are thankful for our friendships and associations and pray that we will be good examples of discussing things in a healthy way. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Item number 1.3, which is roll call.
Councilmember Diane Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here.
Councilmember George Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Mayor John Paul.
Here. Thank you. Item number 1.4, we put on our agenda every city council meeting. We spend 3 minutes where one of the elected officials has time to present on our responsibilities as elected officials. Tonight, you get the pleasure of listening to me drone on. I've got 3 minutes. And one thing I want to talk about, all of the elected officials, that this month is actually Constitution Month. And as part of Constitution Month, it is our responsibility as elected officials to understand and come to know the Constitution. Late last year, I think I gave you little miniature constitutions that you could read and understand. And I would challenge all of you to understand our objective and our responsibility as elected officials, not only for the city of Fruit Heights, but within the state of Utah and as a member of the United States of America, that we are to govern in line with the Constitution and what it outlines. I was going to talk about a couple of items of the Constitution, but I'm going to leave it at that our responsibility is to follow and to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. As all of us were sworn in, we swore that we would follow that direction. And I would challenge all of you to take the time, sometime this month, to just read it and come to know it. And that is my 2 minutes. Thank you, guys. Item number 2, declaration of conflict of interest. Do we have anything to discuss this time? Not seeing or hearing any, we're going to open the floor to anyone. Actually, thanks for coming. This is fun to have so many people, so many residents, so many friends and neighbors here. Thank you for coming, setting aside some time to come tonight. We put this on all of our agendas to give residents 3 minutes if they have anything they'd like to discuss. Do we have anything that anyone would like to discuss tonight? Please come forward. Just take your name and microphone.
Okay, so Ted Peg, we just barely moved in here maybe about 5 months ago, and we love the area. It's a great area.
Sorry, Ted, what's your address?
365 address
For the
365 South Mountain Road. And so, just a question. I know, smaller cities. This is a smaller city. I know there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot of changes that you made recently, with a lot of the meters changing, I'm assuming, for your irrigation. And I just noticed we have a little dog, so we're walking around your community quite a bit, around the community. And I guess the question I have is a lot of times we're walking and we're having to walk into people's yards because there's curb missing or walks that are missing, or just, it looks like there's a lot of cracking of the concrete. And I guess the question I have is, that becomes a safety issue, for your residents, but I didn't know if there was a plan in place of what that might look like over the course of the next year. I know it's going to take time to make repairs. I'm talking more specifically around like Cherry, Old Lake. There's a few roads up in our area to the east of us and to the south, probably older part of the subdivision, But I guess the question, I'd be kind of a concern, I guess, as a resident, of what that might look like in the future. You know, what do we have as residents, the plan, or is there a plan, I guess, in place to have that repaired? That'd be my only statement.
I would love to answer that. So we had quite a bit of work going up through there, Cherry and Old Lake, with we were basically putting a new pipe down through that road. Ted, or sorry, oh my gosh, I just called you Ted. Darren in the back, our assistant city manager, has overseen public works for 20 plus years. He's the one that would have a plan and know what's going on with the plan. But from best of my knowledge, everything is pretty well, you're aware of everything that's going on.
So we try to go through and replace a certain amount of concrete every year, just what the budget allows. So if it's trees that are lifting the concrete, stuff like that, require the owner to take the trees out before we'll replace it, because it's just cost wise. And we just do as much as we can with the money we have. So it does take time, but yeah, we are replacing it in places right now. So.
Is that something that we see as residents, what that plan might look like, or do you have certain areas of the city you're focusing on?
So this year I kind of focused over on the west side, and done a lot over there where people we've asked to take out trees and stuff like that. We've taken out trees and those kind of things, we're going back to replacing those right now. I've actually had some on the east side that I have, where I'm gonna ask them to take trees out, so I can replace it. And then if we find out from them, we try to do that. So.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have something not related to what I'm saying.
Go for it.
All right, so I'm Jacob Browning, 196 North Mountain Road, and just want to make an inquiry to the development up above us, up there on the, the Rock Loft Estates. In the published development as sensitive land that the city has adopted, in there it specifically says that prior to November 1st, if there's any land that is not paved, that some measure needs to be taken to prevent erosion during the wet season. And just wondering what the city is doing to enforce that up at that new development.
Great, thank you.
Any comments?
I'll talk to you after.
After?
Yeah.
Not in front of everybody?
Well, we're actually not supposed to comment on this right now. We just made a bad showing of with Ted leading that up with the question. Sorry, I can discuss it with you later, Tyler, okay?
I just want to know what the city is doing to enforce that adopted standard.
And we have done we've tried to do as good of a job as we can to enforce that with the developer and with all developments, all projects that are going in. It's not just that one. Going on to number 4. Sorry, do we have anyone else? Okay, moving on to number 4.1. We have a resident, Jacob Brand, who would like to, who has been given 5 minutes to discuss road safety.
Both of us. Jinx. Oh, I can't.
All right, so this is a follow-up. I'll go through these slides. A lot of them are a repeat, but I realize we may have some people here that weren't here on August 1st. Just want to go through some of the items that we've noticed, that I've noticed as a resident, and I think a lot of people have, that are concerned on the major thoroughfares in Fruit Heights, namely the north and south corridors and the east and west corridors, being Mountain Road and Nichols Road. So if we go to the next, right here. Actually, I'd like to stop here. So this is in the Fruit Heights General Plan, Section 3.3, that was adopted April of 2023. And I think if we have a plan, we need to have, as a city, a plan to implement it. And there it says major streets running through Fruit Heights, such as Mountain Road, and I think we could put in there Nichols Road, must balance vehicular access to the community with quality of life within it. Small changes to major streets can establish an environment where traffic moves slower, pedestrian crossings are safer and easier, and the street is more pleasant to live along. So I agree 100% with this statement, and I think the city should forge 100% ahead with it. Let's go. All right, so our general plan, briefly look at citations, traffic calming efforts. what's being done current, and some of my suggestions, and then question and answer. So general plan. So here, there's just some specific areas listing. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And this will be posted afterwards on the Fruit Heights City agenda as the minutes. But in here, it lists specifically as Mountain Road and Nichols Road as our major corridors through the city and the plans that the city has for it. Now, on the next slide here, it gives a nice little pictorial of what the plan is for Mountain Road, having chicanes, trees in the middle, efforts to slow down traffic visually. Usually when there's more things that beautify the road, people tend to go slower. All right, next slide.
There's a little bit of delay, sorry about
No, that's fine. Okay, so I requested from Davis County, from the Sheriff's Office, citations from March of 2012 to July of 23. And if you look at them, there were nearly 2,000 citations and 1,700 were related to speeding. That's 85%. And I did a simple plot on a map of where those citations occurred. So you can see clearly, it looks like a pattern. It's on Mountain Road and on Nichols Road, our major thoroughfares through the city. And it's just a quick breakdown of the years and the citations per street. All right, now current calming traffic efforts. We have 4 dynamic signs within the city. There's a new one on Mountain Road on the north end as you're heading north. And thank you for getting that to work. It was up for 2 days or 3 days and it wasn't functioning, and good job, city, to get someone out there to fix it. There's a solar panel one down on Nichols Road, just west of the golf course. And there's 2 that are battery powered, one on East Oaks and one at the bottom of Nichols Road as you're approaching the highway. Those 2 have not been functioning for over 2 years. And I brought that up in August as well. Okay, scroll down. And then there's other efforts where the 25-mile-an-hour signs are, in order you can put those battery operated ones, you can see above the 25-mile-an-hour sign. There are little placards that you can post those in. Okay, so one of my suggested calming traffic efforts is to put in multiple speed signs. Now, that happened back in 2019, I believe, where you put barrels in Mountain Road and on East Oaks as you're heading east, in the middle of the road with the speed post sign right there. On Mountain Road, there were 3 in quick succession, probably maybe 100 feet apart. And I thought those were actually very effective in reducing the speed. So my recommendation is to do that same thing, but actually have them be permanent, because the barrels in the middle of the road, those are temporary, seasonal, as snow flies. You know, our snow plows have to get through and clear the road and then knock them down. So if we posted permanently, and I picked some strategic locations as you enter into Fruit Heights from the north and from the south, as you're going north and southbound, 2 or 3 speed limit signs in quick succession of one another. Kind of remind you what the speed limit is. For me, I took that slide out, but it's in my presentation from August. If you go down I-15 going southbound, there are 3 signs for Gab Watch in quick succession. It grabs your attention, it grabs your eye, and you don't forget it. I think the same thing would be applicable, similar to what the city did back in 2019. So I have it at the top of Nichols and Mountain, at the bottom of Nichols coming into the city, going east, and also, I believe on, oh yes, at the intersection of Nichols and Lloyd Road as well. Now, Darren and I had a good conversation regarding stop signs. I had a slide in there previously about recommended stop signs, and I did some more research myself. Stop signs don't slow traffic. Actually, they make people speed up between them. However, I would like to point out, I took the picture in the next slide last night. You have the line of visibility on the top of Nichols Road and Mountain Road. Now, you can see this is, you can see my rearview mirror. That's from my my high-class 2007 Honda Accord. And I'm at the stop line, that white bar that's in the road. That is the line of sight looking north. And then the one on the bottom is the line of sight looking south. And you cannot see anything until you actually nose out, and then you're in the middle of traffic. So right there, I still think, and the city did take recommendation, and maybe it was already in the works, and put stop signs at Lloyd Road and Nichols Road. So that's now a four-way stop. Yes, sir.
We need to keep going.
I'm nearly done. Right, and then suggested traffic calming efforts, your speed signs. I think I applaud the city for putting in a new one. Maybe they put it close to my home to keep me quiet. But I think there needs to be more. And specifically where gravity pulls you down Mountain Road and Nichols Road. There needs to be some investment there, and also investment in planning for implementing the general plan that the city has adopted. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob.
Can I ask a question?
So our assistant city manager is going to be taking some time talking about, it's the second item on the agenda. We're going to keep moving along and talk things through at that point. Is that okay? Item number 5.1, which is the culinary water rate study and impact fee, facilities plan and impact fee analysis proposal. Jacob.
Yeah, so we went out to bid in August. We're going to be doing an update to our water rates based on the capital facility plan that we were able to go over, I believe, last week. So this is a continuation of that. So now we're going to look at the rates so that we can be able to do all the projects that are identified in that capital facilities plan. Along with that, we're going to be updating the impact fee facility plan, because if you look at that capital facility plan, there's quite a few that are identified as developer driven. And so we need to pair up our impact fee with those developer driven costs. And so we got a bid back from Zions Public Finance as well as from Lewis Robertson Birmingham. And Zions Public Finance, we went over both of them, and after reviewing them, we felt that Zions Public Finance, it was less expensive. There was a few other criteria. You can see that down there at the bottom there. So Zions came out on top. And so we're recommending that we move forward with an agreement. We can accept the proposal from Zions and move forward with an agreement. And we'll bring that agreement back to you when we have that finalized.
Jacob, we have a question from Councilmember
Yeah,
Moss.
sure.
What's the cost? It's not in this.
Oh, it's not in there? I believe it's right around 18,000.
So you're asking.
And that actually gets built in to the impact fee facility
Okay.
plan.
So is there a way you can, I
We can
mean,
recover that cost for impact fees.
okay, but it would be nice to know what we're spending. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was.
there's no cost in here. There's been no cost for the public to look at, to have 24-hour notice. Do we need to, are we okay? Or?
Yes, because this is.
You're gonna bring a proposal to us.
Yeah, we're bringing the agreement, which will have the final amount.
Okay,
Once we really
Okay.
iron that out. Yeah.
okay,
So you'll have that amount before we enter into. the-
okay, very good.
Any other questions?
When are we signing that? When does that need to be signed?
That agreement, we'll bring that back to you at the next meeting.
And how long do they anticipate taking on the study?
Zions was saying, and that was one of the reasons why we chose them, they were saying about 2 months.
About 2 months.
It depends on how quick we can come forth with the information that they need.
So is this something that we're looking at potentially being able to implement like January 1st then? Or?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have that done before January 1st. Impact fees require, I want to say it's a 60 or a 90-day waiting period before they actually go into effect.
And do we have to have a public hearing on impact fees as well?
Yeah,
Okay,
and we'll
so
do
that'll
a
be part of it.
combination. Yeah, we'll do a
Okay.
combination. of
Okay, very
The
good,
rate
thank
study
you.
and the impact fees.
What is the timetable on that? Do we need, if we don't sign this until the 2nd, our next city council meeting, excuse me, the
The
5th, 3rd,
October 3rd.
October 3rd.
If you authorize staff to move forward with an agreement, we can begin the work.
Okay.
And then we can just come back with you with the final agreement and make it a formality.
I would feel comfortable with that.
So what I would ask tonight is to approve the proposal from Zions to move forward with Zions and then, enter into an agreement.
Okay, and then next city council meeting, then we can formalize that. Okay, I would accept that if I have a motion.
Is that okay to do without the amount?
We'll have the amount next time.
Yeah, we'll have that out with the agreement. We won't spend any more.
We still just can't next time.
Yeah,
If they suddenly come back with, 1.5 million, we could say no.
It's in-
On the agenda, it doesn't say.
It says accept the
Says
proposal.
consider.
Except
I make a motion to accept, the proposals, submitted to us for the culinary water rate study and impact fee facilities plan, impact fee analysis proposal, submitted by Zion's Public Finance, and direct staff to enter into agreement based on the proposal.
Great, so, and that is a recommendation based on Jones Associates, our engineers, just so everyone knows.
And then with the caveat, so that we understand that it's going to come back to next council meeting.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say there, it says direct staff to enter into an agreement.
Okay.
So, Diane, agree
And
with
what I said,
Great,
willing to accept that? If that's the case, then I'll second your motion.
terrific.
so I have a motion from Diane and a second from Eileen. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor of approving,
That,
the motion as outlined, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you, staff. Jacob, if you could bring that back to the next council so we can review the agreement and finalize that, but don't hold off on getting us that agreement to get it.
And it may take a couple of weeks to get that agreement finalized anyway.
Great, excellent. Item number 5.2 is a discussion on road safety that's gonna be led by Darren Franson, our assistant city manager.
So, since our meeting in August, I have actually.
Darren, if you wanna come up here so we can see your pretty face? Yes, I do wanna see your pretty face.
So, since this was brought up in August council meeting, I've actually been doing, some different research on Mountain Road. I've got our armadillo working once again, which I can put up and nobody knows where it's at. So it can test speeds. It doesn't tell anybody, unless you know exactly what you're looking at, you don't know what it is. As you can see on Mountain Road, our fastest speed, 65 miles an hour. Now everybody's going like, yeah, that's going northbound. That's actually coming southbound in front of the church. So they're coming, no, the church at the north end of town. It's coming off the road. So I went through and I looked at all the different speeds. There was 5 that were in the 50s. You're probably 100 in the 40s, and then the rest were in the 30s and lower, and the range.
Out of 35,000.
Out of 35,000 cars. Yeah, so I was very surprised on how many cars actually are traveling on Mountain Road, going both directions. Sunday has usually the highest speed. And
Take people late for church.
late for church. And it's funny because it'll give you the times and it's like at 10 o'clock to 12. There's like a higher speed during that time. So
All of us people going to church are
Yes.
speeding.
are speeding to get there for being late. So, So I did this for 2 weeks. I did it the first week, went through and kind of made sure, did one direction. Then I turned around and did a dual direction so I could get traffic going both directions, just to see if there was one speed faster than the other. They pretty much come out pretty even through that. I did put up the new sign, and I took that one off Nichols because I could not get the other one working. But I'll tell you, I finally had it working this morning. I sat there for 20 minutes watching cars and seeing how many stuck their brakes and all that. Heads up, the fastest vehicle can anybody guess?
This morning?
This morning. I know you can. Davis County school bus, 37 miles an hour and never slowed down at all with that flashing. So most of the residents that I watched, they did touch their brakes, but they were in the low 30s. So they were, the speeds aren't really out of reason. As you can see, our average speed through all the cars is only 30.38 miles an hour, both directions. So, that's something to think about too. I thought about the citations. What do you say? There were 1,700 citations in 12 years given on Mountain Road, and we had 17,000 cars in a week. It's really not too many citations in 12 years if we look at it that way. As far as cars speeding, there are, talked to one of the officers, that same week where the speed was 65, they said they had a car with some teenagers that were racing back and forth up and down Mountain Road. And so that could have been that car doing it at that time. I don't know, because it just said it was a vehicle. It didn't give me if it was a large or anything like that. I striped the road. As everybody can see, I'm in the process of getting bike lanes striped on there. So those will be coming up on the edge of the road to help with that. It'll be a shared. So there's so many new rules with making bike lanes. It's going to be a shared lane, so it'll be a bike with a chevron above it. So it's a one direction for the bikers, but it also creates it as a shared lane on the edge of the road. So that'll be coming in here pretty quick, I would believe. So it's not 100% dedicated for bikes only, because cars can park on the side of the road, and cars can go around. If you do a dedicated bike only lane, there's a whole bunch of requirements that has to go along with that. So as I've investigated and talked with other things, this is the one they recommended for Mountain Road. So I hopefully that will slow traffic down once they realize that. Plus pedestrians can use a shared lane. So there's a lot of things going on there.
Are we going to be getting crosswalks painted at the same time?
I've not painted any crosswalks up there yet. The painting, that is something we've talked about and I'm looking into, along with the other stuff. So this painting was done by Weber Basin. And so we just kind of went through with what they'd had in mind, and we narrowed the lanes to 11 feet. So it's the minimum you should go is about, they say 11 feet, but you can go down to 10, but I went 11 feet. So the lanes are actually narrow, which help with traffic speed. It helps calm it with narrow lanes.
So how soon would we be able to do that? Some of the other, traffic things that we've talked about implementing,
So each one of the signs that I put up like that, the radar sign that tells you your speed, they're just about $3,500 a piece. So I have not really gone very far with that because I haven't gone through the whole budget to see if I have enough money to buy a couple more.
the crosswalks and
The crosswalks I have bids on. My first bid was $10,000 to do what I wanted. And then I had someone else come in and they're a lot less, and I'm just waiting for my third bid. So, so I do have bids out at that moment for that, hopefully I can have it done before weather changes. So, yes.
Would it be beneficial to also with the dynamic signs, also have a status
sign there that's telling.
So there's not one that far up the road, that says 25. Some communities, it's kind of some communities put both on there. Others just want to see what people are doing and see if they're paying attention to the signs before.
Does that have a date on it?
This one doesn't. The more expensive ones actually will count the cars just like the little unit, that the other unit I have. These will only do one direction, so the car's got to be coming at it. But
I think it'd be beneficial to have actual posted speed right there on that same sign. What's driving decisions on where these signs will go? I noticed the one that was installed going northbound, it's not too far, maybe another quarter mile or so, you actually speed up to 35 miles.
right.
I'm just wondering, would it be more effective to have it flipped around so you're from southbound, so it says you need to slow down, you're going to hours on.
So
Thoughts.
I mean, yeah, eventually I think, yes, we'll switch them around. People get used to them and then they just become, let's see how fast I can drive and see what it is. So it is good to move them around a little bit, so people are aware. I know there's a big sign right there as you're coming south, right there on Mountain Road, right where it turns, big 25 right there. But, you know, once again, I was surprised that the car goes southbound going that fast.
So I know you mentioned in your presentation about stop sign and research you've done, but I'm still wondering, that still kind of makes sense that if you try it, if you put a stop sign on Nichols Road,
So we're,
at least to stop people in for a moment.
so by federal laws and that it's illegal to use stop signs for speed control. They've done a whole bunch of studies. I sent you a big section of the university studies and stuff like that they've took into account with lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And that would put the city at a liability. Because
the reason why I say that, because during our walking, we're walking and right there, there's a lot of kids getting on the bus. We're like, you know, these are kids coming from directions.
both directions and crossing the road right there, yeah.
It makes a kind of safety question on that.
To me, it's more speed. I mean, yeah, speed is the safety.
Speed is the thing, you're right.
We're new to the area and I am shocked at how fast people just, I mean, our house, it's a blind spot for us to back out of our driveway. We had to put in a round driveway because people come down that hill and it's too late. They're there and you're there and, you know, we haven't gotten hit yet, but I'm waiting for it.
Well, don't wait for it, that's not good.
No,
So,
No, we wait for the we try to see it.
So who is responsible for control of the stop sign as you're coming east across the freeway, 400 North at Mountain Road? Is that UDOT or is that?
so that stop sign is now Fruit Heights City.
Because the stop sign is on the left. On the right. And I have experienced and seen others experience, people come eastbound, they stop at that stop sign and they don't wait for Fruit Heights or Mountain Road traffic to be clear before they plow. School buses, cars, what have you. I think they don't understand that it is not a three-way stop or that the traffic going north-south on Mountain Road is not going to stop for them, and they just plow. School, like I said, I about got hit by a school bus the other day. And I watched it again today with a big dump truck with a trailer behind them.
And they're making the left-hand turn, right? The ones that are making the left-hand turn to go north.
Well, either left or right to get on the mountain road.
The right, so the right hand is a free turn in,
That's
and the left is
It's the left.
and so, but that's any T intersection. By law, you're required to stop.
But they aren't. They aren't.
So that's,
So I'm just telling you, there's a big accident there.
then that has to go back to the enforcement, you know, they're breaking the law, so.
Should there be a sign where there's a through traffic does not stop?
Yeah, well, that's one of my questions, and the other question is there a way to make that stop sign that you don't look for usually on your right-hand side, usually when you pull up to something, the stop is. It just seems like it's not in the best visible place.
I mean, I can look into that, but I mean, that's all put in by UDOT standards.
Yeah, I know.
To what code is and laws and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it does meet all the standards. There's a stop bar. So people running a stop sign are people gonna run the stop sign. That's one of those things. It's speeders. It's the same thing. It's not a lot of out of town people that are speeding down our streets. It's our next door neighbors that are speeding down the street. So, and you can almost ask every cop. I'll tell you a story. We had some signs put up over in one of the neighborhoods, 25 miles an hour, because they were complaining that the speed was way fast. The biggest complainer got a ticket doing almost 50 miles an hour, and then wanted to sue the city because he got pulled over, and it wasn't for residents, it was for people that visiting town. So I'm just saying, it's our neighbors, it's our residents that are 90% breaking the law, that are receiving the tickets, that are running the stop signs and those kind of things. It comes down to education and responsibility for what your own actions.
Karen, last question.
I have a really quick question. This, I think, is a little skewed, not for any reason except for, and I don't know if somebody asked him to do it or not, our sheriffs are so much more visible in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Not every day, but when they're visible, it makes a huge, so I imagine your average is down. And I don't know if it's because of the sheriffs, or I don't know if somebody did a sermon in their neighborhood, I don't know. But the other thing that has happened in the last 3 to 4 weeks, there seems to be more obstinate Heights citizens like me that slow everybody down. I mean, it's amazing in the last 3 or 4 weeks, some bug has hit something, that those sheriffs are around a lot more, and I thank you.
You need to thank the mayor for that. He's the
Yeah.
one that talked with our sheriff's department and
Yeah.
asked them to be more visible instead of not when they're in the city. So that's our mayor that did that for us.
And I'm not complaining about the statistics, because I am sure you've got good statistics there. I'm just saying the last 3 or 4 weeks, doesn't mean it stopped, but it has been so welcome. And I don't know if these citizens are just taking the fee from them, or somebody got everybody together, but I love to see it. We got little trains going by, because some Fruit Heights citizen will slow down and you got 8 people behind them that are waiting for them to turn off, but it has been nice. It has been a welcome change.
So thank you.
Just one comment, okay? I'll make it short. No, I really appreciate hearing what you've done. This is great work you've done. Statistics on information. I guess for the resident, what I would like to see is this continuing on. I know you showed at the very beginning, this gentleman right here, a presentation, and I saw that report. It's like 75 pages long. You have a big city plan, and part of it's column. I guess what I would ask is, where you have a plan, a big plan, your master plan you're following, is to see what you're doing here, how does that fit into the master plan, and what are you doing incrementally to reach that goal of completing that plan. It's talking a big elephant here.
Right.
And you got, I mean, we're just a small portion of people here, representing the people that live off this road, right now, but we'd like to see some of this continue on.
Yes,
And more reporting as time goes on. You want to hear next month? See what you've done.
well,
Not that fast, actually.
we actually have a master plan, a road plan, and there's a lot of things that are going on, and for us to have done something before now, you know, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and so we're just trying to fit things together how we can.
And the master plan is, 5, 10, 20 years, because a lot of those traffic calming, it's quite expensive.
But what Darren's doing is great, because he's putting up a sign there, and you're gonna see what works best. You know, you can switch it to their side of the road, right? You know, maybe there's some more things you can do to narrow the road, that's great. I think to hear that you're doing those kind of things, it kind of helps us live right directly in the line of fire right now. So to hear things are done.
And this is stuff that's continuous. I would tell, and Darren can tell all of you, like, this isn't ever stopping. This is stuff that we are working on a monthly basis. You just don't see it. And different parts of the city, it may not be on Mountain Road, but different parts of the city, your neighborhood got some traffic calming, help. It's something that we're always looking at. So thank you, Ted. Thank you, Darren, for your help. Moving.
I know we're trying to agree on it, but Darcy said that we as neighbors can spread the word and remind everyone, because the sheriff has told us, I don't know, last 4 or 5 times he's been here in the last 10 years, it is our residents, and so we can help one another to slow down.
Yeah.
That's the best calming that is possible.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to item number 5.3, which is annexation ordinance 2023-002B. This is one we already approved. Sorry, go ahead. No, Darren, go for it.
So this ordinance was approved back in March, and this was for the Raymond property that was annexed into Fruit Heights city boundaries about a year ago, well, in 2022. In the process of going through and recording plats for the Rock Loft, I found out this had not been recorded with this through the governor's office. I went through, I found everything, sent it down. I got a reply late Friday afternoon saying, we can't use your ordinance because it's more than 60 days old. Go to these laws, and gave me a bunch of codes to go through. So I talked with, I read all those, and then I also talked with the attorney Monday morning, and it's a technical amendment to the ordinance where it's just a date change. There's already been public hearings for all this, but it's a technical change of the date of the ordinance being currently adopted today's date, so that we can send this back down and have the boundaries certified by the Lieutenant Governor's office.
Thank you, Darren.
I'd make a motion that we accept annexation ordinance 2023-002B.
Thank you, Eileen.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Flo. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving?
Roll call, it's an ordinance.
You're right. It is a roll call. Jacob, we have a motion and a second. No further comments. Do you want to move over to roll call?
Okay, Diane Anderson.
Yeah, aye.
Okay, Gary Anderson. Aye. Eileen Moss.
Aye.
Will Sadler.
Aye.
George Ray.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 6.1, city expenditures, August 2023 financial report. George, do you have anything to comment on?
No, everything's good.
Everything's good.
Why have we not seen that in our packet?
Well, they did add the one today.
It's the financials, but the bills. We should be seeing the bills in the packet each time that we go through this.
The expenditure part,
Exactly.
we have the financial report, but the expenditure part, what we've done is we've created a shared file that George has been reviewing with all of the invoices.
Correct.
Credit card statements. That's not public record.
Yeah, but could you open it up to the city council members?
Yeah, it's been in our.
It's been in our stuff so that we can look at what's being spent.
Our folders, so that
What
we
we,
can look at it.
what you guys had in the past, we don't, I see much more now. I see every receipt, every account number, everything, notes on there as we
We've got
go.
a check
What you were referring before, at least what I am aware you were reviewing before, isn't what I saw, so I see a lot more now.
That's good, but I still think that as
The checks.
we should be seeing where the checks are going.
You want to see the check register?
Yeah.
We do.
That's it.
Yes, please.
You can share that with the full city council.
Yeah.
Yeah, not what George gets, because there's too much information there, just a check register. Like
Yeah, we
we've done in the past.
I can put the check.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Item number 6. Oh, sorry, anything to report?
Can I push back on that, actually? What good does that do the council? When John asked me to do this, I was looking at that document and like, I can't do anything from this. This does me no good.
I can see where we've spent money and looked at what's normal. I recognize those vendors and different things. And then what we have done in meetings like this is, even though you're seeing it, the rest of the council can come in and say, but tell us more about this particular one. Or we can call Jacob and say, tell us more about this particular one. Because I did that even when I was not over the finances prior to you. I would call Brandon and say, I noticed we spent such and such and it seems abnormal, would you explain that to me? And so I would like to have that.
And we realize that is your responsibility. I mean, that's your baby, but
You're doing a dang good job.
having a clear window there is just, helpful to build trust.
And one of my concerns was with Jacob was that I didn't put more work on them, that hopefully, and he's told me there's been more work, that I just haven't been shared the folder where they just do the daily work.
But this
It's
is
one of my worries,
the
is
city's
that it's more work.
responsibilities to look at the financial stuff, so.
It's a big part of our responsibility.
Even if we add some work, it is our responsibility as a.
The city's
Every
checkbook
member here.
is the responsibility of the entire city council.
And it does educate us as individual members to know what we're doing.
Jacob, can you put the check register?
Yeah, I can put it on.
Are you okay?
Thank you.
No, I'm totally fine. I'm just, when I was, as a councilman before this, it doesn't do me any good to look at that. There wasn't enough information there for me to
But
do
also,
anything, and so.
it doesn't hurt to make sure that we have access to it so that there is a check and balance. And I think being able to review the checks is definitely good. 50 or shades of gray.
That's what I was gonna say, for shades of gray.
That check.
We have a check all the time for shades of gray.
Okay, thank you, Jacob, for that.
6.2, August 2023 financial report, Jacob.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out one thing. We are at 1,068,000 over what we would normally have at this time of year for our general fund revenue. And that's because in August, we received a check for $1 million from the governor's office for a grant, which is actually a water grant. Since that time, it's been transferred to the water. So next month, you won't see it. Instead, you'll see it in the water.
It's been applied to this project list.
And so everybody knows Shades of Gray is our utility billing printing company. And his last name is Gray, and it's been around for 4 movie games, so I'm just letting you know.
Thank you, Jacob. Item number 7.1 is September 5th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I have some corrections. If we could go to, item number 19, about 7 or 8 down, when it talks about the annual source volume is mostly from Weaver Basin and only a small amount, okay. So then going on, recommends holding on to our well water rights, not those. It's just a clarification, but I think we need to make sure that we're putting in our well water rights there. And then going down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the lines from the bottom between mountainside and et cetera, we need to add a comma. On section 22, I think that it's error. It says the only zone alcoholic beverage sales is allowed in is where the city shop is, and actually what we talked about was that it was sexually oriented businesses were the only thing that was allowed in that area. I do believe we allow alcoholic beverage sales at the golf course. So we don't want that to be incorrect. And
I
then
think that is actually what the attorney said.
he said
It was in jest. It was in jest. It wasn't. He was,
oh, but it is sexually oriented businesses are allowed
Yeah, you did mention that.
there. So I think we need to make sure that that is correct. And then on line 56, under my report, I didn't ask that the digger be moved off the trail. I just wondered what we were doing there, what project we were doing there. So.
Chloe, did you have any?
Yes. I know 2 more people that were visitors. You could add, please. I know there were a lot, and not everybody signed in, but to be accurate, Shannon Davis attended, as well as Matt Dugdale. Then, section 9, Matt Dugdale, Dugdale, and Shannon Davis.
Oh, it's 6 lines up in the same, in under 19, between mountainside and et cetera.
Okay, and then in section 9 about Chief Love, on the 4th line down, it says between July 22nd is what it looks like. I think if we put 2022, it would be clear. Between July 2022 and this July, they ran.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
2022, yeah.
And then in section 20, where it talks about, I've got 3rd line down, you might want to just spell Darren Franson's name right.
Yeah.
It's spelled right everywhere else.
2 R's.
Thank you.
And Franson. And then on line 10, and then in that paragraph, for some reason, my name's misspelled as well, just 1 D. Number 30, section 30. It says, Councilmember Florence Sadler, I think what it meant was that I seconded it. Because George Ray made the motion, and then it just says Councilmember Sadler blank. So I just think it means that I seconded it. So add that. And then number 37, Lloyd Road.
Oh, yeah.
Needs
There's an
to
extra E in there.
Section 40. Please add Ted Perry's last name. The Works, the Assistant Public Works Director Lane Leonard and Ted Perry, P-A-R-R-Y. So we know that, and that's it, thank you.
And the word is were, not was.
Except that too, it's all the work.
Okay, wait, let me,
It was in
all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, it was. It should be was, you're right.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve our minutes as corrected for September 5th, 2023.
Thank you, Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Flo. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of September 5th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for numbering that. That makes it so much easier to refer.
Item number 9 is a city council report. George Ray, you have anything to report? Sorry, Councilmember Ray.
Thank
Should be
you.
more respectful.
You know, I should have been more prepared for this. I did attend the Utah
League of
City,
Cities and Towns.
the Utah League of City and Towns conference this last week. I wish I had something amazing to report. But as a newer council member, it was fun just to be around all the people from the state and a lot of amazing people trying to do a lot of work out there. The one piece that kept coming to mind as I was there and when I left, and I did read it in our book of our rules from the Utah City League and Towns. The thing I keep thinking, just because we have the authority to make rules and laws, that we really need to be careful about making those rules and laws, that we're here to help mitigate when neighbors affect neighbors, like in traffic, when we're affecting our neighbors. But our job isn't to tell our neighbors what to do in their own place. And so we really need to be super careful, and not just at our level, but to encourage the county and the state to manage where we affect each other, but let us be who we are in our own place, and to really be careful of that spot. And I think that goes along with what you're talking about, the Constitution. The Constitution is given its rules, but everything else is left to the people. So,
How about George? Thank you. Or Councilmember Ray.
you're okay.
Councilmember Diane Anderson, do you have anything to report? Actually, would you talk about the Saturday thing with the YCC?
Oh, yes, you're talking about this. Yes, the youth city council had their kickoff activity on Saturday here in City Hall and oriented their 25 members. They had a 30-minute parent meeting before at the beginning, and the parents know what was expected of the young people, and had a local party afterwards to go on and things. I really think that our advisors are doing a terrific job and really are training future leaders of America.
That's awesome. Thank you. I think Councilor Moss, do you have anything?
A reminder of our barbecue with the emergency preparedness committee, all of the assistant or the area coordinators are invited to come, and you are invited to come and get to know them. Hopefully to help you understand what they're doing to help us as a city be prepared for who knows what.
Now, that's down at Nichols Park, not here, correct?
It is at Nichols Park at 5:30, and then the thought being the council members can leave as needed to come to council meeting, and the emergency preparedness people, which we are continually looking for more people to serve in some areas. Anyway, they are welcome to stay and visit.
Great.
Sorry, that was a huge plug. But
No,
it was.
you're good.
Also, question, what is our plan for the graffiti on the underpass there going over to Nichols?
That was discussed. We don't know quite yet. An idea was thrown out to ask the youth city council possibly to paint that on a couple times a year. We don't know. There is not a plan yet, but there have been pictures taken and they have been sent to the sheriff's office already.
So one of the things that some cities have done is actually pay people or open it up to people to actually do murals in situations like that. And sometimes the graffiti artists are more reluctant to paint over someone else's work. And so in some areas, they allow that to happen. Also, do we have a plan for maintaining the lighting in there? There's already a light out, and I think it needs to be a well-lit place.
Yep, that is a city responsibility. I've already talked to Darren. You know,
Okay.
we're looking for things that we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
So I attended the mosquito abatement meeting this last Thursday. Thank you. The biggest thing they kind of were talking about was replacing a truck that had been in a car accident. Had been totaled, and the struggle that they have with finding something that was within their budget and would meet the needs. So they kind of went back and forth. Finally decided on what they would get. But that was mostly what they were doing. They had their meeting at a different place this time. It was at the Austin Airport rather than down here in Kaysville. So I just remoted it. But that was kind of that. And then shifting gears, the question I have received from some residents is about the work that's being done by Adams Canyon and how long, how long that's going to, they just want to know, is there a time frame? Is there a plan?
It's difficult to walk through there. It's difficult to hike up there,
That was the issue.
So we opened up the gate and stuff so people can just walk up the road and go straight up and go through the gate and not try to go around where they cut material. To help with that. But they're going through fast. There's still a water line that's got to be put in. Right now they're putting the sleeves in.
And
For
that's I told you.
irrigation. So
Is there a guess on how long it will
30 days.
be? About 30 days?
Yeah, it's moving pretty quick.
Okay, that's what I want.
Oh, did you have anything?
No.
Excellent. Just a couple things real quick. Working with Darren and Jacob on some trails and trying to work to get some trails put in above the development so they can be in before homes go in. And we can have a lot of trail connected through all the way through Heights from Shepherd Lane all the way to the Cave of Wilderness Park. Working with Darren and Jacob on that. Darren has helped a lot. We met with the trail builder that built Fruit Boots. I think he's pretty eager to work with Fruit Heights again. I think he would enjoy the work we did here. So hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next month or so, we can get an RFP sent out and get some of those trails put in and the connections down through Mountain Development put in before any homes even are talked about being built. So those are there well before any development goes in.
And that's paid for out of impact fees.
There's a grant we won that we were awarded through the Utah Outdoor Recreation department about a year and a half ago that has not been spent. And the developer has been willing to fund a significant portion of it. And then when we have a map put together, I will go and meet with the biking community and the high schools to see if we can get more funding for trails. Our desire as a city is to do double track. So we have a hiking and walking trail that will span the whole city, and then we will also do a secondary biking active. So we have active walking and then biking trail, so we can separate them and build it well the first time instead of just occupying it.
And what about, the trail down through, after you get through the tunnel to Nichols? You've got quite a drop off, you've got,
That's been discussed, that is in process.
okay, thank you.
Wasn't the developer, put all, pretty much all that in, or we adding stuff to it, or what's?
We have two easements that are going through and into his development. He is willing to work with the city. He said he'd put them in, but I don't think he has the right equipment to put them in. So I think he's willing to fund those specific connections and making sure they're in before the development is finalized. So we're trying to keep things going and stay ahead of the schedule. Darren, do you have any reports?
No, they're working on Rock Loft, they're starting to haul in road base. Their goal is to have, it paved by the end of October. And then our road projects are going really pretty quick. We've got a lot of concrete working. Their strategy, they started up there today to take out all the road and concrete and curb gutters, sidewalks up through there. So Raymond Road, they've gone through there, and now we're feeding and leaning. To the road we're coming out. Now it'll be done this fall.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work on that. Jacob, do you have anything?
Yeah, just letting you know, I attended with George, the Utah League of Cities and Towns. It's a good experience. One of the things that you notice that I got out of it, I changed the agenda up a little bit. If you guys like this, what I was told is we need more specificity, and trust me, they had a hard time saying that word. But anyways, that's a good thing. This is part of it. I'm going to continue to flesh this out a little bit more. It's more, not necessarily for the council, but for those that are in attendance to understand what's really going on, rather than just having a short little blip that goes on there. And we'll continue to.
Come on, Jacob, it's our hyping.
That's all right. Don't lie. Everybody should know what's going on. The only bad thing that came out of the conference, though, is I'm now watching Flight of the Conchords.
You're watching.
No.
Excited. That's all. That's it. That's all.
Great.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor of adjourning at 8:07, say aye.
Aye.
We missed the hour mark by 4 minutes.
We start the meeting.
I know, it's about 4 minutes.